Today on Inquirer, President Bongbong Marcos meets with U.S. President Joe Biden at the White House.
I can't think of any better partner to have than you.
Department of Health logs more than 4,000 COVID-19 infections in last week of April. Mandatory wearing of face masks still not needed, according to the DOH. Philippine airspace to shut down for 6 hours to give way to scheduled maintenance in the air traffic system. And the James Harden drops 45 as Philadelphia 76ers shock the Boston Celtics in Game 1. Good evening. On the second day of his official visit to the United States, President Bongbong Marcos meets with his American counterpart Joe Biden at the White House. To give us an update, here's Daphne Galvez reporting live from Washington, D.C. Daphne?
Good morning from Washington, D.C., Neil. President Bongbong Marcos and U.S. President Joe Biden held one-on-one talks at the White House where both leaders committed to further strengthen the alliance between their two nations. During the meeting at the Oval Office, Biden told Marcos that amid geopolitical challenges, he could not think of a better partner than the Philippines. He noted Manila and Washington's strong partnership and deep friendship and committed to step up America's support in a wide range of issues, including climate mitigation and the economy.
You know, when we met in New York last year, you told me that a strong alliance has to continue, quote, use your phrase, to evolve as we face the challenges of this new century. And we are facing new challenges. And I can't think of any better partner to have than you.
Also reaffirmed Washington's ironclad commitment to the defense of the Philippines, assuring their continued support for the Philippine military modernization. In a joint statement, Marcos and Biden cited the importance of respecting sovereign rights of states within their exclusive economic zones amid China's increasing acts of aggression. They also supported the rights of Filipino fishermen to pursue their livelihoods within the Philippines EEZ. Both leaders also affirmed the importance of maintaining peace and stability across Taiwan Strait as an indispensable element of global security and prosperity. For his part, Marcos raised the need to find ways to strengthen alliances and partnerships in the post-pandemic economy. He said it is only natural for the Philippines to look to the U.S., its sole treaty partner, in redefining ties.
The Philippines is possibly, arguably, the most complicated geopolitical situation in the world right now. And so it is only natural that for the Philippines to look to its sole treaty partner in the world to strengthen and to redefine the relationship that we have and the roles that we play in the face of those rising tensions that we see now around the South China Sea and Asia-Pacific and Indo-Pacific regions.
Both leaders also discussed security, education, and other initiatives during the meeting, which was then followed by expanded bilateral talks attended by ranking Philippine and U.S. cabinet officials. This is Marcos and Biden's second meeting after their bilateral talks in September last year at the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly. Neil?
Daphne, I guess the biggest concern here really is the situation over at the West Philippine Sea as well as the Taiwan Strait, because I was able to read the joint statement of the Philippines and the United States, and they specifically mentioned the Taiwan Strait there. So any more details regarding the issue of West Philippine Sea and to some extent the Taiwan Strait? What is the commitment of the two leaders when it comes to these issues?
Neil, yes, according to the joint statement, Marcos and Biden underscored their unwavering commitment to freedom of navigation and overflight in the South China Sea. They also cited the importance of respecting sovereign rights of states within their exclusive economic zones, and they also supported the right and ability of Filipino fishermen to pursue their livelihoods within the Philippine EEZ.
So maybe based on that, it seems that the two leaders did not end up with a concrete action as to how they're going to act amid the rising tension over there, not just at the West Philippine Sea, but also at the Taiwan Strait. But my question here is, will President Marcos have a more concrete action to address the recent incident between the Philippine Coast Guard and the Chinese Coast Guard? Because usually our course of action is that the Department of Foreign Affairs would file note verbals to the Chinese embassy. But will President Marcos have a more concrete action with respect to this?
Neil, according to the president's latest statements, he has taken up this issue with China, and the Philippine government is now following up on the creation of a direct communication channel between the foreign ministries of China and the Philippines to address disputes in the West Philippine Sea. He has said that the Philippine side has already submitted the names and contact details of those in their proposed team, and they're just waiting for China to submit their counterparts, Neil.
Daphne, I have another question here. In your report yesterday, I specifically remember you mentioning the Mutual Defense Treaty. So did the two leaders discuss this?
Yes, Neil. When President Biden said that the U.S. or Washington remains ironclad in its commitment to the defense of the Philippines, the joint statement said that this means that any armed attack on the Philippine Armed Forces, public vessels, or aircraft in the Pacific, including the South China Sea, would invoke U.S. mutual defense commitment under the 1951 Defense Treaty. Also, according to a fact sheet released by the White House on the Marcos-Biden meeting, Washington and Manila will adopt bilateral defense guidelines to deepen the alliance cooperation and interoperability across land, sea, airspace, and cyberspace. Neil.
Very interesting. Thanks, Daphne. That's Daphne Galvez reporting live from Washington, D.C. The Philippine airspace will be shut down for 6 hours on May 17 to give way to the scheduled maintenance in the air traffic system. Our Zakarian Sarao fills us in with the details live. Zach?
Yes, Neil. The Manila International Airport Authority announced that the Philippine airspace is scheduled to be shut down from 12 midnight to 6 a.m. on May 17 amid a corrective maintenance activity. MIAA Senior Assistant General Manager Brian Ko says that during this period, no planes should be in the Philippine airspace. According to the Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines, the corrective maintenance activity would be conducted at the Philippine Air Traffic Management Center, or the ATMC, to repair the automatic voltage regulator, replace the uninterruptible power supply, and upgrade the Air Traffic Management System AV power supply. The ATMC houses the country's communications, navigation, surveillance, and air traffic management system, which manages and supervises the air traffic activities within the Philippine Flight Information Region. CAAP says it has already coordinated with and advised several stakeholders, such as air carriers and airport operators, regarding the scheduled maintenance activity. It then assures the public that once the maintenance activity is completed, operations at the ATMC will resume as normal and will allow CAAP ATMC to serve the flying public better and ensure continued flight safety. Back to you, Neil.
Zach, how many flights are we expecting to be affected by this shutdown? Because as you know, yesterday, due to the power interruption, a number of flights were canceled, rescheduled. So do we have an idea as to the extent of the possible impact of this shutdown, particularly on the flights?
Well, Neil, as of now, the MIAA has yet to release a full list of affected flights, either as canceled or rescheduled. But MIAA General Manager Cesar Siong says that the airport management is set to meet with all 43 airlines operating at NAIA to discuss what their plan will be during the maintenance.
Thanks, Zach. That's Zakarian Sarao reporting live. U.S. President Joe Biden says he would send a first-of-its-kind presidential trade and investment mission to the Philippines. Daphne Galvez has the report.
U.S. President Joe Biden said he will send the first of its kind presidential trade and investment mission to the Philippines. Biden made the announcement in his opening statement prior to his bilateral meeting with President Bongbong Marcos at the Oval Office inside the White House on Monday. The U.S. leader noted Manila and Washington's strong partnership and deep friendship and committed to step up America's support in a wide range of issues including climate change mitigation and economy.
We're tackling climate change, we're accelerating our country's transition to clean energy, and we're standing up for our shared democratic values and workers' rights and the rule of law. And together we're deepening our economic cooperation, which is going to continue to deepen. I think it's mutually beneficial. And we're going to announce today that I'm sending a first of its kind presidential trade and investment mission to the Philippines.
Biden said this would draw on the strength of the U.S.-Philippine partnership to promote economic growth and prosperity in both countries and the broader Indo-Pacific region. The Presidential Trade and Investment Mission to the Philippines aimed to enhance U.S. companies' investment in the Philippines' innovation economy, its clean energy transition and critical mineral sector, and the food security of its people. For his part, President Marcos thanked Biden for America's assistance and sought to strengthen alliances and partnership in the face of the post-pandemic economy. The meeting also included discussions on security, education, and other initiatives as part of Marcos' official visit to Washington. This is Daphne Galvez reporting from Washington, D.C.
The Department of Health registered a total of 4,456 new cases of COVID-19 in the last week of April. This figure is higher than the 3,148 cases recorded the week before. According to the DOH's latest report released Tuesday morning, the infections translated to a daily average of 637. This is 42% higher than the 450 daily average cases recorded from April 17 to 23. Despite the rise in cases, no deaths were added to the country's death toll. The utilization of ICU beds increased from 13.7 to 15%. Non-ICU bed utilization rate also rose from 17.4 to 18.1% during the same period. Meanwhile, the COVID-19 positivity rate in Metro Manila further increased to 17.2% as of April 29, according to Octa research fellow Guido David. The positivity rate increased from 10.2% on April 22 to 17.2% on April 29. The current positivity rate is also more than triple the World Health Organization's ideal threshold for positivity rate of 5%. In related news, the Department of Health points out that there is still no need to reimpose the mandatory face mask rule, saying the public must learn to adjust to the presence of the virus without back and forth policies. On Monday, President Bongbong Marcos floated the idea that the government might bring back the mandatory use of face masks in the Philippines amid the recent rise in COVID-19 cases. In a press briefing, DOH Officer in Charge Maria Rosario Vergere says that the Health Department and other members of the Interagency Task Force for the Management of Emerging Infectious Diseases have already submitted their recommendation not to bring back COVID-19 restrictions, including mandatory face masks.
We already have recommended to the Office of the President, based on the agreements coming from the IATF discussions, na hindi naman kailangan ibalik ang mandato. Kailangan lang talaga ma-shift na natin ang mindset ng ating mga kababayan. Tataas, bababa ang mga kaso dito sa ating bansa dahil nandito pa rin naman po yung virus, hindi nawawala. And the virus, throughout its life cycle, nagmi-mutate po talaga ang virus na ito and it will produce variants every now and then.
Vergere explains that the public should know how to protect themselves and their family. She says individuals should know how to wear a mask when going to high-risk places, especially if they are unvaccinated, immunocompromised, senior citizens, or pregnant. According to Vergere, the current increase in COVID-19 infections does not compare to the numbers recorded during the height of the pandemic in 2020 and 2021.
Kinakailangan po nating maitaas ang antas ng ating risk tolerance sa COVID-19. Itong pagtaas ng mga kaso na nakikita natin sa ngayon, hindi po siya nagka-translate sa mas maraming hospital admissions, Hindi rin siya nagtatranslate sa mas maraming severe and critical cases and even deaths. Gayun din, nananatili pong nasa low risk ang ating healthcare utilization rate sa buong bansa. Ito po ay dahil sa ating pinalakas at pinagtibay na wall of immunity dahil sa pagbabakuna.
Next on Inquirer Today, Pagasa raises El Niño alert. And James Harden drops 45 as Philadelphia 76ers shock the Boston Celtics in Game 1. This Inquirer Today will be back shortly.
1, 2, 3.
A giant camera?
I'm Jovel Lorenzo. I'm a professional photographer. I'm 52 years old. Gumagamit ako ng street box camera. Nagkasayaw ako. Hot legs ako before. Tapos, nagdumami ng mga shows namin. Tapos, one time, sa sobrang hilig ko sa sayaw talaga, nagkasakit ako. Nagka-mild stroke ako.
In order for Jovel to recover, he was prohibited from dancing for a year until a new opportunity presented itself.
Buti lang, medyo bata-bata pa ako noong time na yun. So, nakarecover naman ako. Pero nung na-stroke ako, hindi ako pwede magsayaw ng 1 year. So, pinag-aral ako ng isang kapatid ko na sabi ko, Jubel, may nagkaklase ng photography sa Mowel Fund. Sumasama ako doon sa Hot Legs pare, pero hindi ako nagsasayaw, nanonood lang ako ng shows nila. Habang nanonood ako shows nila, practice ako ng photography. Sinushoot ko sila, yung mga guests nila, sinushoot ko. Tapos yun ang pambayad ko ng film. Yun ang ginagawa ko para matuto ako ma-practice ko yung photography ko. Yun, tapos tuloy-tuloy na yun. Hanggang sa naging magazine photographer na ako, nagkasayaw pa rin, tapos magazine. Hanggang sa nawala na yung sayaw, nagmamagazine na talaga. Naging photographer na ako full-time. Until now, nag-shoot pa rin ako sa magazine hanggang ngayon.
When the pandemic hit in 2020, Jovel got into box cameras.
Ngayon ko lang nalaman yung street box camera, kung paano siya gamitin. So nakita ko lang siya sa website or sa YouTube. Habang nanonood ako, nakita ko lang siya. So parang na-interesado ako kung paano nila ginagawa. Parang, maganda. Parang maganda yung process kung paano nila ginagawa yung image. During that time, pandemic naman, yung time na yun. So wala kang ginagawa. Try akong gumawa ng camera nang nakita ko sa net. So parang, okay to parang bago. Kasi hindi ko pa ginagawa. So unti-unti ko siya nagawa. Nagawa ko yung, yung box with all of the yung mga component niya, yung basa-basa. Inartehan ko pa. Ilalabas ko yung picture sa gilid para mas para ganun. Parang inisip ko na, yung ginawa ko doon, inisip ko na pwedeng i-offer pag nawala na yung pandemic. Pwede ko i-offer sa tao. Para may trabaho pa ako.
Jovel went to Batangas during the height of the pandemic and thought of a way to practice using his box camera. He started to work on his project called the 14-Day Quarantine Series, where he would take portraits of people in their everyday lives using his box camera. The street box camera was invented in 1888 and was widely used after the First World War. Compared to digital cameras we use nowadays, the process of taking a photo on a street box camera is quite different.
Kuha ng box, diba? Box. Ginagawa ko una, yung sitters, paupuin ko ng komportable, kailangan komportable sila. Kasi hindi sila gagalaw ng ilang seconds eh. Kasi pag nagbago sila ng pwesto, wala ka na. Hindi naman sila makukuha ng maayos. Hindi, pag nakaupo na sila komportable, pupunta na ako sa likod ng camera. Ayusin ko na yung frame. I-focus mo na. Pag lock mo ganon, isasara ko na yung pinto, i-close ko na yung lente, kasi nga, open pa ako nun. Tapos, ipapasok ko na yung kamay ko sa loob, kuha ko ng papel, ilagay ko sa loob, isasara ko, babalik ko sa focus. Tapos, pupunta ko sa unahan, eto na, kukuha na kita. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 1,001. Pak. Kuha na yun siya.
Minutes after taking a photo, you will be able to see what it looks like. The initial output is a negative photo processed with chemicals right inside the camera. The negative is then brought to a dark room for Jovel to develop into a positive image.
Nagustuhan naman ng mga tao. Nagustuhan nila yung, dati parang hindi na alam kung paano nga kung ginagawa yung mga bagay-bagay. Doon sila na nababother ko, paano po ginawa? Kasi nga ang film, disiplina talaga yon. Pagka nag-shoot ka, kailangan perfect na talaga yung framing mo. Kailangan eksakto na, eksakto sa requirements ng gagamit. Kailangan ang pag-aaral lang sa mga bata na gustong yung ginagawa ko. Pag-aaralan nila, unti-unti, huwag sila jump ng jump na. Babasahin mo rin yung paggalaw ng tao, parang gano'n. Kung anong ngiti nila, kung saan sila maganda, parang gano'n. Titingnan mo pa rin. Kung saan sila maganda, doon mo sila aktivitikan. Ang discipline nga ginagawa ko sa akin sarili, isa camera pa lang, i-perfect mo na.
The State Weather Bureau has issued an El Niño alert as the phenomenon may emerge from June to August at 80% probability and may last until early next year. Pagasa says an El Niño alert is issued when the probability for the phenomenon to occur within the next 2 months is at 70% or more. According to Pagasa, El Niño is characterized by unusually warmer than average sea surface temperatures at the central and eastern equatorial Pacific. The State Weather Bureau says El Niño increases the likelihood of below normal rainfall conditions, which may cause dry spells and droughts over parts of the country. Pag-asa will continue to monitor the development of El Niño. After more than 3 decades, the Philippines and the United States Air Force have revived this week their military exercise dubbed as Cope Thunder. According to the Philippine Air Force, this year's first iteration of the exercise opened on May 1 and will continue until May 12, while the second iteration of Cope Thunder will occur from July 2 to 21. This comes just a few days after the Balikatan exercises that ended on Friday. Cope Thunder involves around 160 U.S. Air Force service members and 400 Philippine Air Force airmen from different Philippine Air Force units. According to the PAF, the exercise aims to provide an opportunity for PAF and Pacific Air Forces to enhance their capabilities and readiness to respond to potential threats in the region. Cope Thunder was held in the Philippines from 1976 until 1990. The training stopped in 1991 after the U.S. military closed its bases in Clark and Subic Bay. No discounts will be provided for senior citizens and persons with disabilities with traffic violations under the single ticketing system. In a television interview, Metro Manila Council Chairperson and San Juan Mayor Francis Zamora says that senior citizens and PWDs will not enjoy any discounts under the new traffic scheme and will have to pay standardized violation fees in full. While digital payment options are now available for traffic violation fees in the 7 pilot cities, Zamora says that traditional payment methods at city halls are still available for those who are unfamiliar with online banking and e-wallets. Zamora asserts that online payment options will hamper fixers among traffic enforcers who use license confiscation as leverage to collect higher traffic violation fees from unknowing motorists. He reminds the public that traffic enforcers will not be confiscating licenses and will only issue citation tickets. Pilot testing on the single ticketing system began Tuesday in 7 cities, namely Manila, Quezon City, Parañaque, Caloocan, Muntinlupa, Valenzuela, and San Juan. The Philadelphia 76ers defeat the Boston Celtics 119-115 in Game 1 of the Eastern Conference semifinals. Melo Fuertes has the report.
Philadelphia 76ers star guard James Harden dropped 16 points on the Boston Celtics in the first quarter of the Eastern Conference semifinal series opener. But Celtics' Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum countered, shooting 68% of their field goals to give Boston a 12-point lead in the second quarter. Philly came back in the third behind James Harden, DeAnthony Melton, and Tyrese Maxey, but it was Harden that buried the Celtics, sinking a go-ahead 3 with 8.4 seconds left in the game, leading the Sixers' stunning victory of the East's second seed 119-115. Harden tied his career playoff high of 45 markers. Harden's heroics came timely for Philly, as star big man Joel Embiid was absent for the game due to a right knee LCL sprain, an injury he sustained in Game 3 of their quarterfinal sweep of the Brooklyn Nets. Jason Tatum was the silver lining for the Celtics in the loss, finishing with a double-double of 39 points and 11 rebounds. Jaylen Brown also chipped in 23 markers in a losing effort for the Celtics. The Sixers look to take a commanding 2-0 lead when Game 2 rolls around on Thursday morning, Manila time. This is Melo Fuertes reporting for INQUIRER.net.
Alamin naman natin ang mainit na balita sa mundo ng showbiz kasama si Irvin Santiago ng Bandera. Irvin?
Hi Neil at sa lahat ng mga kabandera natin all over the universe. Ito na nga ang latest Bandera Chika. Handang-handa na ang dating kapamilya child star na si Cyril Manabat na sumabak sa pagpapasexy at gumanap sa mas mature and daring roles. Feeling ng dalaga, it's about time na ipakita niya sa madlang people ang kanyang versatility as an actress, lalo pat napakaraming pwedeng explore ngayon sa mundo ng telebisyon at pelikula. Ngunit nilinaw agad ni Cyril na depende pa rin sa material na iaalok sa kanya kung dapat bang magpakita ng skin o katawan. Kailangan daw meron itong relevant sa tema at istorya. Sa naganap na announcement ng Star Magic para sa mga events nila sa mga susunod na buwan, nakakatsikahan namin si Cyril at natanong kung ready na ba siyang sumabak sa mas palabang projects na magre-require sa kanya na magpa-sexy. Say ng dalaga kung talagang kailangan sa storya ay ready siyang gawin, pero kung wala naman itong koneksyon sa kwento at basta masabi lang na nagpa-sexy siya, ay hindi siya papayag. Dagdag ni Cyril, gusto niyang makita ng manonood ang dedication niya sa kanyang propesyon dahil ginagawa naman daw talaga niya ang lahat para mabigyan ng hustisya ang mga ginagampanan niyang karakter.
Nakakatuwa kasi parang talagang ang mindset nila or ang tingin nila sa akin yung nakasanayan nilang baby na mataray na strict na magsalita na ang liit-liit naman po ganun. So, hindi ko po sila masisisi na nagugulat sila. Opo. And natural naman po yung mga reaction nila as long as hindi naman po nila ako in-objectify or wala silang sinasabing below the belt. Okay po ako sa mga reaction nila na nagulat sila.
At yan ang Bandera Chika natin today. Thanks, Neil!
Maraming salamat, Irvin. INQUIRER.net wants to hear from you. Be a part of our reader survey and help us understand how you want us to meet your needs. To participate, scan the QR code flashed on your screens or visit www.inq.news/readersurvey. And these are the stories you need to know today. I'm Neil Mercado. Catch INQUIRER Today live weekdays at 6 p.m. Follow INQUIRER.net on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Reddit. For more stories, visit INQUIRER.net. Good evening.